Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so first of all, before we get into any talk about anything, I just want to say prayers out and condolences to Eldon Campbell's family. He was an ex-Laker, played for the Charlotte Hornets as well. Grew up in LA, from what I understand. Went to Morningside High School in Inglewood, if I'm not mistaken. I just found that out. He did pass away last night in the wee hours of the morning, I think it was. And I grew up watching Eldon Campbell, enjoying his play a lot from my early Laker fandom days. Played with Kobe and Shaq early on. He was a high-level backup center for us. I don't remember who we traded him for or how that went, but he did end up going to the Charlotte Hornets at some point. Maybe he was traded in Eddie Jones' trade. I don't remember. I don't remember how that went, but I do remember Eldon Campbell a lot. Growing up, he was one of our favorite players. Myself and my mom, she used to call him Elgin. She would mess up his name up. She go Elgin. I'm like, no, it's Eldon. But one thing I knew about Eldon Campbell was that he was a right-handed player who loved to dunk with his left hand. That was what stood out. High-level player, rebounded well, played a lot of backup center for the Lakers in the era I was watching behind Shaquille, but he was a high-level dude. When he came in, we would continue to have a strong bench because of Eldon Campbell's play. Blocked shots a lot as well. He did some really good things out there for us, and he will be sorely missed, man. One of my early day Laker players that I enjoyed when I first started watching the team. He was on the team for a couple of years before moving on, so I was able to watch a whole lot of Eldon Campbell. So yeah, that was tough news, man, for me as a Laker fan. So I was thinking of making a video solely for him, but I figured in this situation I'd just throw it in at the beginning of this video to say, man, rest in peace, Eldon Campbell, and thank you for your contributions to my Laker fandom. So that's what I want to do there. Now, we do have other things I want to discuss in this video, so we're just going to move into a different topic, a much lighter-hearted topic, and that's what's going on with Giannis Antetokounmpo. All the rumors of him potentially going somewhere had me go down the rabbit hole of Fanspo, which is a site that allows for a lot of intricate trade scenarios, allows you to see what's possible and what's not. Some of the stuff I discussed on my channel yesterday ain't really all that possible, so you can discard that video with my speculation talking about Giannis potentially going to the Thunder. I couldn't make anything work. I got tired. I'm sure there's a way to make it work. You can add 3 teams, 4 teams, 6 teams, which most real trades actually do. So, I didn't get that intricate into it. So I stepped away from the Thunder, but I'm certain that the Thunder have interest in Giannis. They would be interested. Now, a team that I said that I think could be interested, although I didn't hear anything at all, was the Toronto Raptors, and I was able to get something going with the trade machine. I don't know if this would be something they would be interested in doing. It doesn't quite give me the oomph that I ultimately would want necessarily if I'm the Bucks. But if picks are thrown in, this might be a very interesting trade. You can make Giannis happen for the Bucks if you throw in Scotty Barnes, Ochai Agbaji, Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter, and Jamison Battle. And that's just a scenario. There are other ways I'm sure you can make it happen, but I was able to find success with that trade. And Giannis would end up a Raptor. Everything centered around Scotty Barnes. Gives the Bucks some nice young guards. Ochai Agbaji and Grady, they can definitely go. Jacoby Walter, that's a lot of shooting coming their way. Jamison Battle, I'm not familiar with, but he's a guy who can play some small forward and make this work. Another trade that works was the New York Knicks. You can send out Karl Anthony Towns and a $2 million contract, for example. Like, what's the guy's name? Oh, man, I wish I would have saved it, but I didn't save it. But a $2 million contract to go along with it. One of their role players, a shooter, could go out, that kind of thing. So it was sent around Karl Anthony Towns and another guy at $2 million. So that seemed really easy to do if the Bucks would be interested in that. And I know that Giannis would be interested in going to the Knicks, from what I understand. In fact, that might be his top spot. So I don't know if the Knicks are really interested in Karl Anthony Towns, but if the Bucks get back maybe some extra trade equity or find a third team to get things a little sweeter, I'm sure the Knicks wouldn't have a problem making a trade like that. I like Karl Anthony Towns as much as the next guy, but bringing in Giannis, yeah. And the last but not least, of course, my very own team. I wanted to see how possible it is for us to pull off a trade for Giannis, and we could. We really could. It's scary as it sounds, you guys. This would not be very difficult for the Lakers to pull off, as far as making the numbers work and pulling something that could be done under the cap. And it's not anything you mind giving up outside of course, Austin Reeves. So this isn't the most attractive package for me. If I'm the Bucks, I'm probably looking elsewhere. The Lakers could throw in some picks, maybe like 3 first rounders. That looks like a sweet deal, and it's not something that that I would say no to if I'm the Lakers. I love Austin Reeves a lot, and I love where he's at. So if we don't do a trade like this, I'm completely fine with it. But the cost of getting a guy like Giannis is giving up something great, and Austin is what this would ultimately be centered around, Austin and picks. But you can do Rui, Austin, Jared Vanderbilt, and Gabe Vincent. Now the key to this is Jared Vanderbilt's $11 million 3-year contract. Nobody's going to want that. If I'm the Bucks, I'm not taking that. So you better find another landing spot for that. And it's a negative asset in this league right now. I don't think the Bucks would have any interest in that. But some interest around Austin Reeves, especially at a $13 million contract for the next 2 years for a team like the Bucks. That should be very interesting to them. Rui Hachimura expiring at 18, very interesting. Gabe Vincent expiring at 11, very interesting for a team that's trying to get their books in order. A couple expiring contracts, some first-round picks, and a hot young star in Austin Reeves, who's showing if he has his own team can play like an MVP candidate. That's an extremely attractive situation for me if I'm on the Bucks side of things, and I don't like what I'm seeing from other teams. Do I like that a little more than Karl Anthony Towns? I don't think so. Not with me taking back all these bad contracts. And the Knicks can throw in picks as well. Now, will the Knicks be willing to throw in picks on top of Karl? I don't know, but that seems like a better trade package to me. Depending on what the draft equity the Raptors would be willing to throw in, I'd probably be a little more excited about the Raptors stuff too. You're taking back some more exciting young players on low contracts. You got Scotty Barnes, who's an excellent young star too. So that looks like a more attractive trade package to me than the Lakers as well. But I can make an argument that Austin Reeves is probably the hottest name out of all the players. Karl Towns, you can argue, is probably a better player than Austin, but his name is not hotter and his contract's not better right now. Scotty Barnes making $38 million. He's on tab. You feel good about that, but I can argue that some would probably rather have Austin right now than Scotty. So, like, when you start talking about what you want to take back, Austin Reeves is probably one of the more attractive players to bring in right now just because of how high of a level he's playing when the stars are not around. So if you're trying to rebuild or reset your situation, you need a star, you can perceive that this guy is going to outplay the contract he's on for the next 2 years. And based on what he's done with the Lakers, he would be willing to negotiate potentially with you if he likes the situation at a price that makes you happy. At least that's what he was willing to do for the Lakers. Now, just the same as a Laker fan, I'd say that's why you don't move Austin. But again, we're not moving him for pennies. We're moving him for an MVP candidate in Giannis Antetokounmpo. So you ask yourself, am I overrating my players when it's time to start talking about my heart being involved? I don't want to move Austin just to be moving him. Before a top 3 player, everybody's going to feel bad about what's going out to get back Giannis. You know what I mean? No one's going to be happy with what they have to move to get Giannis. But once you get Giannis here, you're extremely happy. So it's not about whether or not we love Austin. We wouldn't trade Austin for anything less than a Giannis type player. But when Giannis is on the table, we have to be honest about what it is that we could potentially get back for him. What we have to give up rather to get him. So do I do this trade? Yeah, I'm doing this trade. I'm doing this trade. I'm throwing in all the picks. I'm throwing in those 4 players, and I'm bringing it back top. I'm bringing Giannis to Luka. I am. But if you're asking me if I'm looking to move Austin for anything less than that at this point, no, I'm not. I'm not moving Austin for anything less than that type of player at this point. But if I'm going to make the argument that the Raptors should cash out on what they have to get Giannis, I would be a hypocrite if I didn't say the Lakers should try to cash out on Austin to get Giannis. Specifically to get Giannis. You don't do this to get role player A or first round picks. So no, you're not moving Austin to be moving him. You're moving him because he's played his value up so high that you may be able to actually center a package around him to get Giannis. And so to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, yes, I'm moving all of these things respectfully with sadness in my heart. Just like I was very happy to move Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic, I will be very happy to move Austin Reeves, Rui, Vanderbilt, Gabe, and all of my picks to get back 31-year-old Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yes, absolutely. So that's really where I'm at with that. Like I said, you can listen to my video yesterday and just see where my speculation lies as it pertains to this. But the reality is the aprons and the era we're in when it comes to trades did not make a lot of what it is I was speculating possible. You can't just move this, and bring that and that. There's a lot of different things that go into the era we're in due to the collective bargaining agreement, and it does limit some of what my speculation reality could actually be. So that's just, if you like being entertained by speculation, that was a good video for that. I was walking and just thinking about teams who should be interested in what they should want to do. Now, there were some teams that I would have liked to have done more in regards to fanspo. San Antonio is definitely a team I would have loved to have done this with. Miami as well as a team I would have liked to have done this with, but I wasn't about to sit here for 2 hours and do this. I wasn't. I just wanted to do this a video quickly, get a couple scenarios out there, example scenarios, and then move about my day. So that's really what this is about. But there are other teams that I think should be interested. And another team that's starting to warm up in my head in regards to interest, although I don't know how Giannis feels about this team, is Orlando. And it's because they do have a very win now timeline, some very nice, attractive pieces, some ascending pieces that are starting to get better this season, like Anthony Black. You should feel great about Anthony Black if you're acquiring him right now, if you're the Bucks, and say if they want to throw in a player like Franz Wagner, you know what I mean? If something like that would be possible, you have to listen if you're the Bucks and weigh it against other packages. So I think the Orlando Magic could make a competitive offer for Giannis that might be able to outbid some of the more sexier teams and still have him in a warm weather city with no tax implications, or sales tax, or not state tax is not a thing in Florida, from what I understand. And not only that, but like I said, they're a win now team. They got some players that you can see yourself winning with if you're Giannis going down there right now. So that's a team that I think should consider it. If they can put together a package, maybe that'd be something they'd be wise to do. Yeah, if you're Orlando, you've had so many people leave you over the years and go to the Lakers and stuff like that, so you don't want to toy around with potentially bringing Giannis in, trading away people who are happy to be there, and then losing him in 2 years. But again, it's Giannis. You know what I mean? It could be the difference between winning the championship and not for any team that ultimately makes a move like this. But it's going to take something good to move him, and you're not going to be happy with what you're sending out. And you have to be okay with that in order to get him. So, yeah, Franz Wagner. I don't know that I'm moving Paolo. I don't know. I like I said, Orlando is a team that can put together a competitive package regardless. And Giannis is worth pretty much anything you got if you're Orlando, anything you got if you're the Lakers, not named Luka. Although I could argue he is worth Luka. It's just that you're not going to move Luka. But that's a real thing. This is the type of player Giannis is. When you start talking about what his worth actually is somebody else's franchise player. But you're not going to move your franchise player if you have a Luka, if you have a Wemby, and because Giannis wants out of Milwaukee, you don't have to send that player. You don't have to send Shea. You know what I mean? You don't have to in order to get him, but you do have to throw in a lot of pick equity and some very, very good players. So that's what that's my speculation of what Giannis should be, demanding in regards to a trade package. But then again, when you see what Luka went for, you never know what teams are actually going to pull the trigger on. So that's what I wanted to say, man. I do think Giannis is probably out. From what I understand, he demanded a trade or requested a trade in the offseason, and it stayed quiet, which was a smart way to go. Why this got leaked right now, I guess it's because he decided to jump ahead of this thing and start doing things with his IG they probably shouldn't have been doing if he really wants to move on from Milwaukee. I think it's noteworthy to say that people would expect his brother would be thrown into the package as well. Thanasis is probably like a must-have for wherever Giannis is at. Thanasis can't be traded to the 15th of December, along with other players that I tried in the trade tracker. So I could imagine that if a trade is going to get done, it's probably going to be done after the 15th of this month, just because a lot of the pieces around this league can't be traded until then. And I think this is going to have a lot of moving parts if he does get moved. So don't expect Giannis to be traded before the 15th. So, yeah, that's really what I got to say. I have some doubt that he actually gets traded at all. But it's starting to, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's going to be a lot of suitors. And I think the Bucks are going to have some very good packages to mull over in regards to moving off from Giannis. And I think the writing's on the wall that they probably should be allowing him somewhere to play and then just kind of resetting their situation. And so I think that if they got any sense, they'll do that. So that's really what I wanted to come here and say. I also want to throw in here that Chris Paul has been waived by the Clippers, and that probably deserves its own video as well. But, I just think that the way that they did it is really bad. You can move on from a guy, but for him to be in his farewell season coming back to the team that he ultimately initially had his most success with, made a name for himself, turned their franchise around, for them to waive him into like a thief in the night, on a road, in the middle of a road trip in the wee hours of the morning, it was just classless. And the Clippers are a team that probably should not be doing classless things with everything surrounding their name right now. So it's obvious that Steve Ballmer should be looking to move on from everybody, literally everybody on that organization. He needs to just level the whole thing, from the front office to the players to coaching. Everybody needs to go. He should be the only man left standing. Him in the building should be the only thing left standing at this point, in my opinion. So that's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.